You never know when those whips will just end up in $200 worth of blunts.
Yeah, man. You know, we've been talking about, you know, being worried about showing up and making that crappy music. And a good friend of ours, Shoes from the Dojo, a producer buddy of mine out here in Seattle. He's been brought up on a podcast before, 1/4 of Rave Gravy with me and Rip Kenny and Nintendo.
Get him on here.
Yeah, we got to get him on here ASAP. But we had a session. He came over last night for the first time since quarantine started. And we met in 2017 and immediately started making music together because, you know, we met at a Levitate show. We're like, oh, you like bass music? I like bass music. You like smoking weed? I like smoking weed. Let's be buddies. And he ended up coming over. We made a bunch of tracks. We've got this big collab folder. And we, aside from the one Rave Gravy track that we made at the end of last year with two more people helping us, that is the only track that we've actually released as a collab duo among like 25 other sessions that we have in the collab folder.
Yo.
Like, for real, just show up and make stuff, because last night, the first 30 minutes of our session was just opening the files, and like most of them were just laughing at how bad they were, or like being like, well, you know, this, like, that loop has some potential, and, you know, I mean, like, I kind of dig the piano part, or, oh, like, you know, the drum groove is actually pretty good on this one, but God, that lead is trash, you know, and like laughing together and joking about that. And then we finally opened one where like, ooh, you know, actually I kind of remember this one. This one
Oh,
has potential.
is that the one with like the wonky drums and like the saw swoopy bass noises? I don't know. Y'all played one when we were on tour in Montana at that bar, the big ass bar. I don't know. It was like swoopy and wonky and like had a lot of like saw bass patches.
Oh, that one is Who You Gonna Call Now? Who You Gonna Call, man? Yeah. No, we actually didn't open that one. We opened, that's probably our best one we ever did.
Finish that one, dude.
I mean, yeah, for real. That one was by far the best one we did together. We ended up opening like the second best one we had done, this one called 150. The lyric was, if you're running, you better give 100. But if you're running with me, you better give 150. And we always dug that, and we thought the drop was one of the coolest we had ever done. But opening it last night, we're like, all right, let's throw this into the new mix template. Now that we're better at mixing and we know the process, took it through the process we've learned at the dojo, and got it all mixed out, and then started A-B'ing, comparing it to other dojo songs, like listening to some Unk tracks and some Medasign tracks, and like, all right, how are we stacking up? And realized, you know what? The vocals and the leads all need to be completely replaced. But like the nugget of the song, the idea was there. So I ended up, after he left, re-recording the vocal and by the way, picking some sweet serum patches that Rip Kinney made for this top secret project that's coming up. Yeah, I'll tease the name. It's the Portal Serum Pack.
Oh yeah, and also check out the description for that Get Dead goodness.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man, make sure you get that. But yeah, so I ended up picking a few of those sweet serum patches and just replaying in new sounds all of the general vibes that were going on in the song with completely new sounds that sound way better. And so, you know, long story to bring it back around to what I'm actually talking about is, don't be afraid to show up and write the shitty ones, because one, you're getting better. Two, you're building up a catalog of ideas. Like some of those beats we opened up were like, there was a chunk of it that I'm like, you know what? The drop didn't work, but the intro could totally be a rap beat. Let's just like take that part and make it into a rap beat next session. And then sometimes the idea that you put down is so good that you can come back to it 3 years later and be like, okay, now we know how to actually finish this one. There's going to be some sound replacement. There's going to be some re-recording. There's going to be a rearranging and remixing. But now we know how to take this cool idea. And if we had been too afraid to show up because we didn't know how to finish a song on that day in 2017, I wouldn't have had this cool song today in 2020. So show up and make shitty shit, because every once in a while you'll get a gold nugget out of it.
Yeah, that's you guys totally hit the nail on the head. Actually, I still look up to you, Luke, as being someone that's never afraid to just fucking do the fucking thing. Like,
not no more.
You just jump in and do the shit. I love that about you.
Thanks,
and
man.
One of the things that you mentioned that really is important is like going back through those old whips and just grabbing the good shit out of them, because there's good shit in there for sure. Like, if you made a full song, at least one of the things in that song is worth bouncing. Like, I mean, maybe it's just the drums. Like, maybe it's just that drum pattern. So go in there, bounce your full drum loops as kick, snare, hi-hats, and percussion, and now you have a 4-piece drum loop that you can mix and match. And then also take the MIDI and export those MIDI grooves if it's in MIDI, and make yourself a folder, 140 BPM, sick triplet swing drum groove, right? And then you got 4 drum parts worth of MIDIs. Like, there's always stuff that you can be extracting from those old projects. And in the moment, you likely didn't already do that. Like, almost 100% sure. Like, you didn't stop working on that song that one night in August 2018 and go, you know, I'm probably never going to open this up again. I should save every part out of here. No, you definitely did not do that. Like, just fucking, if you're not feeling it someday, just open up some old shit, see what's in there. You'll probably get inspired by some of it. Grab all your favorite bits, recycle everything that you can, and fucking use it as your new Sparks folder or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I call that process sample farming. In fact, I took I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again because it's important. I took all of my old unfinished whips, dumped them into a folder, called it Sample Farm. And now every once in a while, late at night or when I don't have a ton of time to really write a track, I'll just open that up and start clicking on sessions and be like, ooh, I like those chords, export. Ooh, cool percussion loop, export. Ooh, that's a nice little lead. Let me EQ that a bit, throw a compressor on there, export. And then once I've got everything that I like out of the session, I just delete it. You know, of course, like, figure out what key it was in, label it with the key and the BPM, and now you've got a Sparks folder. That could be a collab Sparks folder. If your friend hits you up and is like, collab, bro, be like, here's a zip file of like 9 ideas that you could run with. Here's some chords, here's some leads, here's a weird bass thing. Like, just, you know, now you've got them immediately accessible for your project or somebody else's. It's powerful.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one thing that, like, a lot of people, like, internalize. They're like, yeah, that's really smart, and then never do it. Like,
yeah,
you got to do that shit. You have to have a Sparks folder. If you don't have anything to start with,
man, every serious artist has to have some sort of catalog of ideas at various states that, you know, you could show up to any sort of session. You know, in most cases, you're just going to be dealing with yourself. But if you know you have a co-writing session coming up and you just sift through those files and you find, you know, some half-finished ideas that are open for somebody else to come on and there's room for them to do their thing, that is worth so much in that moment, even though, you know, right now it's sitting on your hard drive and it's not too valuable because you don't want to revisit it. But, you know, like, just setting up some sort of session like that in the future where you bring these unfinished pieces just will instantly increase the value of this material that you're just sitting on, and it'll be a very fun experience for both of you to work on this sort of thing. Now, that being said, you know, I said various stages because if you have too little, like, I'm not going to do shit with your 8-bar loop that you sent me for, like, not even a full instrument. But also, if it's too finished, you know, I've definitely had people bring me songs, or I brought songs where they're like, yeah, this sounds pretty done to me. I don't know what I do here. And we end up starting something from scratch. So, you know,
yeah,
that's having those midway finished songs, perfect for co-writing. Having the more finished songs you're not going to release, bounce that shit out, add it to your library. If it's more in the beginning, I'm sure there's some stuff you could save there too. And now it's like for every sort of stage of the process where you're leaving tracks unfinished, which, by the way, they'll sort of funnel down from, you know, more general ideas down to all of the songs that you want to work on versus the ones that get finished versus the ones that get released. But, you know, all of those tunes, like, there's been tunes like one me and a friend wrote recently that never got released. 2 years later, he's ghost producing for somebody. It fits perfectly. We each get a few hundred out of it. Awesome, right? And it came at such a nice time for me because I totally forgot all about that tune, but because it was sitting at that stage in the process, it was ready to go. You know, that opportunity presented itself. I feel like I'm running around this point a bit, but, you know, I really want to emphasize how important it is to just have this catalog of music because, you know, this is the business that you're in. And, you know, sometimes you don't want to play the game fully through. You just want to jump to level 5 and run it to the finish lines. So
and you never
have that ready.
You never know when those whips will just end up in $200 worth of blunts. You know?
Yeah.
You never know.
For real. I mean, you know, you talk about, you know, like, oh, sometimes you don't want to work with the 8-bar loop, but sometimes, like, I've been in situations. There was this thing that was happening around the country called Collab Lab, where a bunch of producers and writers would get together and make beats and hooks to pitch to artists. And I was working with my guy Hayden, who's now in Bounce Gang with me, Hayden THC, and he was just handing me these 8-bar loops. I was like, man, it's got like 5 elements. I made this 8-bar loop one day. I just ran out of steam. I know it's got potential. I don't know what to add. And I listened to it and I'm like, oh, like, I just hear exactly how I'm going to arrange this. And 15 minutes later, it's an entire beat. All I had to do was add like one little element. Like, oh, I thought of a bass line or something, you know, like, but every other piece of it was there. And he had run out of steam on it, but I was coming in completely fresh. And I hear this idea and I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. I love the groove. Whoosh, it's a beat. Mm-hmm. Just because I practiced doing that part of it so many times. And I was coming in completely fresh and unattached to the project. And then he hears it and was like, oh, damn, yeah, that's killer. And then all of a sudden he's sparked to write a hook to it. And then it's like, oh, wow, now this is like an actual thing that we can go pitch. It's a real song. You know, we've been pitching it for, you know, since last fall, and it hasn't landed anywhere. Now we're kind of talking about, man, dude, I like how your voice sounds on it. Maybe we should just release it as your track.
I like it. What's up, humans? It's Luke, your friendly neighborhood trap Jesus. Thanks so much for watching the podcast, checking out our videos. We truly appreciate you. So, Rip Kenny, Tesco, and myself got you a gift. We made you a free sample pack. It's got basses, it's got FX, it's got crazy percussion and Foley sounds, and it's free. It's all yours. Just click the link in the description below. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with your friends. We appreciate you. Peace out and peace among worlds.